But the basic idea is that a product is something that has a value and can be delivered, can be sold to someone. What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Another chapter, another week on Framely. So I'm currently now packing, fixing the last stuff that I need to take with me because we're going to a trip to the Middle East. So I have to take the plane now at 5:30, which is half an hour delayed. And then we have to transfer in Amsterdam and then to the Middle East. So yeah, let's get to the airport now. So since there's a new way to get to the airport of Stockholm, the one in Atlanta, the one in Erol, which is using FlixBus and is a little bit cheaper. I think it's 69 crowns, which is around 6.5 euros. And then the train, it costs 12 euros or so. I decided I'm gonna take the bus instead. So it's gonna be the first time. Doing that. Let's see how it's experienced. Because I try to save as much money as possible, especially now that I don't have a business or anything like that, making a lot of money. So in that situation, it's much better to keep the expenses as lower as possible, and especially if you travel with a friend or with several friends or just travel alone, like in this case, it's much better, in my opinion, it's much better to keep the expenses low and spend the money in what it really matters. So yeah, in this case, let's wait for a bus, and we're gonna be taking the bus, which is around 40 minutes. And honestly, I believe that before having maybe a successful business or trying a successful business, you should read and learn as much as possible. And therefore, books like this one, for example, which is the one I'm reading now, the Personal MBA, it's gonna help you a lot, and it's helping me actually a lot because I'm learning so many concepts on business that I had no idea, especially since I studied computer science back when I was in one of the main universities in Stockholm, one of the technical universities in Stockholm. I mean, I did not know any of the concepts that I'm learning here, and definitely I think it's better to learn and read things that you have in this book than actually taking a lot of money and investing a lot of money on an MBA, because this is going to save you a lot of time, in my opinion, and it's going to teach you most of the stuff that you can learn maybe in an MBA. I mean, not only reading this book, but different books. So therefore, I believe that if you're working, it's better to spend time in taking courses or reading books such as this one, because it's going to take you less time, it's going to be a less time investment, which at the end of the day is also money, but especially it's going to take you less money that you put on, obviously, if you're taking a degree or a master degree on an MBA, that tends to be really expensive. And to start a business is like being an entrepreneur at some point. And I think you don't need to go to uni to be an entrepreneur. You just need to take action and do stuff, whatever thing, not go into uni for 2 to 3 years and then start a business that maybe you're not sure about starting a business or not, and maybe you don't have any guidance or someone that is in the position that you want to get there, and therefore maybe the business is not super successful. So yeah, I truly believe that it's better to first read books like this and then take action on something that you want to achieve. Because basically the book talks about something called forms of value. So those things that are perceived by society, by people, as something valuable, as something that has a value, like monetary value or another type of value itself. The first one, for example, first form of value is a service. So we're going to talk now what's exactly a service and how we can provide a service to society, to someone like a client or something like that. I think I'm going to suffer the biggest climate or weather and temperature change I ever experienced in my whole life. I think we're -2 now in Stockholm, and it hasn't been snowing yet, but I think it's -2 right now. And where I'm going, it's gonna be 28, 30 degrees, on Sunday. So this is the first time I experienced something like this drastic change of temperatures. But I'm gonna be wearing just summer clothes, obviously. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like -1 degree, and where I'm going is like 30. I mean, it's going to be shocking, the climate temperature and the temperature itself. So rule number 1 on financial intelligence, which is like if you're in your 20s or even in your late 20s, spend as less money as possible. Even if you're traveling alone or maybe with some friends, like backpacking and stuff, spend as less money as possible, because that is actually financial intelligence, because then in that way, whenever you feel comfortable and you have the enough money or like the enough income, because in that way that's going to allow you that whenever you feel like you have the enough income and you're getting enough money to sustain your lifestyle, then it's going to be much easier to move forward with buying something a bit more expensive, you know. So then whenever you feel like, okay, I'm ready to buy these really expensive clothes or like this really expensive shoes or whatever, then that's the moment they're gonna do it. But don't do it if you don't have the chance and the possibility. And one of the best ways in order to avoid spending too much is by keeping costs and keeping travels, for example, as less as possible, like spending as less as possible, like taking the cheapest air flight or like taking the cheapest Airbnb or like going to hostels whenever you can, especially obviously if you're traveling alone or with some friends, maybe, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5, wherever, because that's going to allow you to create the foundations of a good financial situation and a good financial state throughout your entire life. But anyway, the importance of this video was to talk about this book, The Personal MBA, and the 12 forms of value that this book considers. And as I was saying before, the first one is a product. And I'm gonna list all of them here. There's like 12, so I don't want to do a super long video, obviously, because I need to take a flight, and yeah, I mean, I'm gonna like stop in this video once I'm in Amsterdam. The basic idea is that a product is something that has a value and can be delivered, can be sold to someone, because of the fact that someone perceived a value onto that, and then the person buys. But the product can be a physical product. But when it comes to service is basically selling your time. You're selling your time to, for example, someone that needs something, or like your employer. You're basically providing a service to someone because that person or that corporation or wherever finds valuable you creating and giving that service. And a service can be, and there's so many types of services. You can provide marketing services or software services, or obviously cutting your hair, for example, or taking your dogs out. That's providing a service. While if you sell a product can be sold so many times, so it's not like time dependent. Obviously you need time to create a product, especially obviously if it's a digital product and not like a product base, because some people like they can buy something and then they resell it with another brand, which is something that this book also talks about that. But those are basically the first 2 forms of value that the book provides, a product and a service. But then we also have the shared resource, and a shared resource is something that you buy as an asset, but then you share it with other people. Like you share it with a change of money. So for example, maybe you can buy an apartment with some friends, and then or a boat, for example, and then it will be a gym or a place where you can do yoga, for example. So you're basically taking a local, and then you're selling and then basically that place you're sharing through a subscription. That place is being shared by other people that pay the subscription. And this is something different than lease, because when you lease something, it's basically that you buy something, for example, a boat, and then you are like someone is borrowing your boat for some exchange of money and some exchange of time. But in this case it's not like subscription based. I mean, actually it's a little bit complicated to like see the difference between both two, but they have different namings and therefore they are different. Then the fourth one is the subscription, and this is something good whenever you want to start a business. It provides cash flow from the beginning, since like you need clients and you need people, like customers in that case, not clients, that pay you upfront some amount of money every month, and then you are kind of like are able to predict how much money you're getting every month, how much income you're getting, or like how much revenue you're gonna get in the next month, because of the fact that it's subscription based. And same happens also with gyms. But the idea is a little bit different, and that's why the book differentiates between shared resource and subscription. Here's a subscription, for example, could be like a software-based subscription, like for example you pay for Spotify or you pay for Netflix. So those are subscription-based of service or like digital service provider. Like it's actually a product of a digital-based and digital product. Then the fifth is the resale, and this is something that I was talking about before, because basically it's by buying a like white label thing in another country which is cheaper to produce. You label it with your own brand, you market the own product, and then you resell the same product with a higher cost. You're directly improving and giving that more values because of that is branded and it's marketed in a way that you want, in a way that you think that is going to provide more value to that, and then therefore you're going to be able to sell more. Or at least that's the idea, the main goal. Then we have the lease, and then we have the agency. And sometimes a bit more expensive than taking an employee in your own company. This is like, let's be honest, it's normally like that, as far as I understand. But the agency is basically providing a service. For example, it can be a marketing service or like paid advertisement. So basically you take an agency that does the paid ads or like runs the paid ads and gives you like the value, and then they run the ads, and then basically as a retainer you pay the agency and then they provide the service. And same happens as well with like 3PL, like three-party logistics, that basically you pay them some amount on the like for every month, and then they provide the service. It's actually one of the simplest business models that can exist. I mean, it's simple and it's efficient and it's profitable, and it does not require like, can bring a lot of headache as well, like as every business. It's complex, and that might make it a little bit easier to when it comes to like providing the service or like a quality service, and then also you don't need, and then it's easier like when it comes to providing the service from somewhere else in the world and not just like focus in a single city and you need to be all the time in the same city. Really interesting forms of value that this book teaches. I mean, I'm just started the book, so it's super interesting, and I'm gonna keep reading it, obviously. Yeah, the sun is set now. I'm gonna take the flight to Amsterdam. So since I'm gonna be editing the video on the plane, I'm gonna finish it right now here. So make sure you subscribe to Family Talking, because some adventures are coming on the way, not in Sweden, but in all the countries. As I said, in the Middle East, one of the countries in the Middle East, you will see which one is soon. As always, remember to subscribe to Family Talking in case you haven't done that yet, or up here for seeing one of my last uploads on the channel. As always, make sure you give it a thumbs up because it really helps out in growing the channel. And as always, remember to stay always friendly.